I just got back from. I spent a week in New Mexico / Arizona doing stuff with some Navajo related stuff, which was an incredible experience. And
My gosh.
then today, I just found out that my trip to Iceland is canceled because Icelandic Air canceled my flight. Because
You already had it booked.
yeah, I was going. It was done. And I got an email yesterday that said Icelandic Air is not running on that day. They just canceled the flight. And it was calling Travelocity, and they were like, call us and we'll try to find another flight. And so I called them today, and they were like, oh man, the next flight it was almost a week later. And I was like, I can't be gone for 2.5 weeks. Like,
Right.
I mean, as much as I would love to stay in Iceland for an extended period of time, it's just not something really feasible that I could do. So
No, man.
I had to, and what sucks is I can't really plan anything else. Like, it's not like I can take the money and go and do something else because it takes 8 to 12 weeks to get a refund.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So that's pretty much ruined. And it sucks because my channel, I mean, it's not that it's changing. It's still going to be language and culture, but I was starting to get some of the stuff together to do kind of more so entertainment versus just language update. The language updates are going to be there, but I also wanted to do like entertainment as well, going to these countries, experiencing the culture, things like that. And, that's,
Well,
I guess that's just on hold. So
yeah, well, you took the trip to the Navajo area, and you had the Iceland thing coming up, so you had everything kind of lined up. But we're talking about you coming, I don't know, to Mexico for a weekend. You can most definitely do that, my brother.
Yeah, it's a possibility. Because, well, and the thing is with Mexico too, I wouldn't have to burn all my vacation days at work. Because I can make a weekend trip out of Mexico. It's a 4-hour flight.
People don't know how close it actually is. Mexico City to basically, you're in.
I would fly out of Charlotte, and it's like 4.5 hours from Charlotte to Mexico City.
That is really
nonstop.
Direct flight, right?
Yeah.
People don't realize how close it actually is.
Yeah.
It's kind of like me living in Ohio, and when the Rolling Stones, they play like 3 or 4 dates. They like New York, Chicago, LA, and Toronto. And I'm like, I can't go to any of those states and any of those dates in the States. And the other one's in Toronto. That's in Canada. No way. But really, from like Toronto, from Ohio, it's just like, it's not that far. It's kind of like, I don't know, you from Mexico City. So it's definitely worth keeping in mind. Yeah.
In part, that's the thing. I want to do entertainment. I say entertainment, like I'm not meaning cheap entertainment, but I feel like I just feel like I could provide a lot more for people doing stuff like that, going to Iceland and eating some of their delicacies, and then visiting. Of course, they have like they have a beach over there with that's just pure black sand, and I could go to like some volcano, like just go and kind of, and then of course doing stuff in Reykjavik. And I know people are like, oh man, COVID, and I'm like, well, I get that, but the flight wasn't canceled because of COVID. Iceland is open if you're vaccinated, and they're one of the safe. They had a spike last week, and it was like 4 cases. Like they're
that was a spike.
Yeah, like they're as safe as it gets. But we just did the Navajo thing. Me, and it was a guy named Dave who has a YouTube channel, Dave DC, and Xiaomanyc, and we went out there and we were all vaccinated. The family we stayed with was all vaccinated.
Oh, good.
And it's not like Navajo Nation is just crawling with human beings. So you can do it, and you can do it safely. And that was my plan for Iceland, but I guess not so much anymore. So,
well, at least, man, you got to leave your neck of the woods a little bit. Because I tell you what, I was, basically in Mexico City for over a year. Not even just Mexico City, literally my neighborhood. I've barely been out of my neighborhood, but I said, you know what, I'm going to take a trip, a weekend trip. So I went to this city called Puebla. Oh, and actually in Cholula, which is where the Polyglot Conference is supposed to be, this year. Let's hope it happens.
Yeah.
And it was just so nice to, get a change of scenery, breathe in new air, and literally new air, because there's a lot of people in Mexico City, so the pollution's
Right.
kind of high. But living here, you get used to it. But only when you leave, you realize, oh, that's what fresh air feels like, smells like.
Yeah.
But it was so cool just to try different foods, see different places, just walk around. Like I came back feeling so just rejuvenated. So
right. No, man, it's always good to get away. And that's the thing. Like I've never actually been one for going anywhere. And a lot of it's just because I don't want to go anywhere within the United States. The Navajo thing came up, and I was like, well, that's like, it's not like I'm just going to like, well, I don't want to say I have a friend that lives in Florida. I don't know if you'd ever see this or not, but it would be different. Like, it's not like I'm just going to like Florida to chill on a beach. Like that was an opportunity to go and basically feel like you're outside of the country while you're inside the country. And so like that came up, but I've never really been one to go anywhere. I never had a passport or anything like that.
You just got it, man. I remember you like sent me the pic, you're like ready to go.
Yep. And then, it's like, all of a sudden I get this opportunity, very, very fortunate opportunity to be able to do some things now, and I can't. Like I never wanted to, and I could, and now I can, and I can't.
But isn't that just the way life is, dude? Come on, you know that. So it's almost like,
yeah. But I mean, like if Navajo Nation taught me anything, it's that you don't have to go to Philadelphia or Detroit or Seattle or anything like that. You can go to some incredible places within the United States safely and experience a whole different culture. I could go to San Diego, for example, even, and experience Latin culture like I've never experienced it before. Or I could go to, I know there's a town in Michigan where that's like where the most densely populated Finnish population in the United States is.
Right. Wow.
Like, so I mean, you can go. I mean, it's obviously not the same, but you could still at least go and, I've told Xiaomanyc on the way back, I said, for the first time in my life, I felt what it's like. Well, not exactly, but just go with what I'm saying here. I said, for the first time in my life, I felt kind of what it was like to be a minority, because everybody in Navajo Nation is Navajo. There's no white people there. And so for the first time, I got that kind of feeling of what, and again, I know it's not the same thing, and I'm not saying it is, but I mean, like, I got that feeling of like, okay, I'm not the major thing here. Like we're the odd people like we look different than everybody else. We're the people that, we're the people that stand out. Not stand out's not maybe the right word, but I mean, like you get what I'm saying. Like, it's we were there and everybody was Navajo, and here just a couple white dudes come walking in. Like, it is for the first time I felt like, okay, like I'm in the minority. Like it's like I kind of had a better understanding and again, that doesn't have anything to do with people going through prejudiceness or races or anything like that. I'm not comparing those aspects. I'm just saying from a standpoint of, I've never not been in an area where it's predominantly people that look like me.
Well, and that's a good thing, because even though you didn't leave the country, you had this experience, and well, some people don't have that experience. And I think the more positive experience like this we have, the better. It's like the whole idea of traveling is that you push yourself out of your comfort zone. You realize that your way is not the only way, that you're kind of like the people that you grew up around, not the only kind of people, just in Ohio. Like I was really thinking about it, like, in these months, I'm kind of from like a suburban area in Ohio. Like it's kind of just like what I consider like a traditional high school, but like, I went to a university called the University of Akron, and
that's where Jason Taylor played.
Oh yeah, football. Exactly. You know that, right? Oh man, sports trivia. Yeah, Seabolt coming through.
I was a huge Miami Dolphins fan growing up.
Oh shoot! But anyway, like, it turns out that Ohio is rather diverse. Because we've got, diverse not so much, maybe in like racial aspects, but in terms of just like cultural aspects of Ohio, because like I come from like a suburban area. There's like city areas, and then there's country areas, and like all of a sudden I was intermingling with like, I felt that the city people were closer to how I was, but like I got to meet a lot of like people who I didn't realize at the time were just simply like kind of from really rural areas in Ohio, and you could kind of just see how it was, and I don't know, kind of interesting. But
yeah, well, I mean, Ohio, I mean, just you could tell by Moses's videos, man, people migrate to Ohio from all over. I mean, he spoke every language that he spoke right in Columbus and didn't have to move. So I mean, it's people migrate to Ohio for whatever reason. It's a hub.
You know what? Columbus, they say, is actually one of the places that has like, I don't know, I think it's what's the word that it's, has a very good help me. I'm
like the most diversely populated,
it's a good place for like what you earn versus what you get. What's
cost of living,
cost of living, something like this, right? And if I wasn't like so kind of out on Ohio, I've lived there all my life other than Mexico, like I would move to Columbus. But now living in Mexico, when I go back to the States, I have kind of like two criteria. Like one, no more cold, all right? Because like when you live in perfect weather, that you're just ruined, right?
Right.
And the second criteria is like, I want to live in a place where there's diversity. Going back to what you said, you could go to California or wherever, and you could literally, it's just like Mexico, because that used to be Mexico.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking like Florida, which is, has a high Latin population, has Brazilian population, because I want my life, I want culture to be in my life always. I want language to be in my life always. So I want to live in a place where those things intermingle. And I'm kind of leaning towards Florida at the moment when I go back to kind of, find residents and all that, but we'll see how it goes.